So let's talk about a force that affects every single one of us every single day: inflation. You know that sneaky feeling you get that your wallet is somehow getting lighter even when the amount of cash in it hasn't changed? Well, today we're going to figure out exactly why your money just seems to buy less and less over time. Let's dive in.
Okay, before we get into all the big economic theories, let's bring this right down to the real world, your world. Because inflation isn't just some number you see on the news, right? It's a real, tangible thing that changes how you shop, how you save, and how you plan for your future.
I mean, it's a feeling we all know, isn't it? That 100 rupee note that used to grab you a few key items from the store, now you're lucky if it covers one or two things. And let me tell you, that's not your imagination. That is the real, measurable effect of inflation at work. It's like a silent tax on your money.
All right, so what is this thing officially? Well, put simply, inflation is just the rise in the general price of, well, everything, from your food to your fuel. And as all those prices tick upwards, the value, or what we call the purchasing power, of every single rupee you have goes down. It just doesn't stretch as far as it used to.
Here's a super simple way to picture it. Just think about a loaf of bread. Let's say it costs 20 rupees today. Now, if we have a 10% inflation rate over the next year, that same exact loaf of bread is going to cost you 22 rupees. Your 20 rupee note, which was perfectly fine before, suddenly isn't enough. Just like that, your bread buying power has dropped. So, we get what inflation is, but the big question is, why does it happen? Where does it even come from? Well, economists usually point to two main engines that are driving those prices up. Let's take a look at these two different faces of inflation. On one side, you have what's called demand pull inflation. This is that classic scenario you hear about: too much money chasing too few goods. Basically, when everyone's feeling good, spending money, and demand is high, but there just isn't enough stuff to go around, well, prices get pulled up. Then, on the other side, you've got cost push inflation. This is different. This happens when it actually gets more expensive to make things. You know, the price of oil, wood, or labor goes up. Businesses have no choice but to push those extra costs onto us, the consumers, with higher price tags. And this isn't just some abstract theory. Here's a perfect real-world example of that cost push inflation. Back in March 2022, a geopolitical crisis on the other side of the planet made the price of edible oils absolutely skyrocket. Now, that wasn't because we all suddenly wanted to buy more oil. It happened because a critical part of the supply chain got disrupted, making the raw materials way more expensive to get. Now, here's something else that's really important to get. Inflation doesn't just have one speed. You can think of it like a car's speedometer. It can be creeping along slowly, it can be walking at a steady pace, or it can be racing, completely out of control. And believe me, that speed makes all the difference in the world. Let's break down these four speeds. First up, you have creeping inflation. This is a slow and steady rise, under 3% a year. A lot of economists actually think this is healthy because it nudges people to spend or invest instead of just sitting on cash. Then things pick up with walking inflation, somewhere between 3 and 10%. This is where you really start to feel that pinch, and it starts to eat away at your savings. After that, things get dangerous. We're talking galloping inflation. That's a 10 to 50% jump every year, which can really mess with an economy. And finally, you have the most destructive form of all: hyperinflation. So what does hyperinflation even look like? Get this. It's when prices rise by more than 50% every single month. Not a year, a month. At a rate like that, the value of your money can just completely collapse, almost overnight. And this isn't a hypothetical nightmare. This has actually happened. This extreme scenario led to total economic meltdowns in countries like Weimar Germany back in the 1920s, and much more recently in Zimbabwe. People's life savings became completely worthless. It's a really powerful reminder of why central banks around the world work so hard to keep inflation under control. Now, here is a crucial point. Inflation does not affect everyone in the same way. Not at all. It actually creates this complex ripple effect across society, and in the end, it produces some clear winners and some clear losers. So let's see how that all plays out. Check this out. It might surprise you to see who benefits. Debtors, people with loans, can actually come out ahead. Think about it. If you have a loan with a fixed interest rate, you're paying it back with money that's becoming less valuable over time. So the real value of your debt is shrinking. But for every winner, there's a loser.
The people who lent that money, the creditors, are getting hurt. They get repaid with money that buys a lot less than it did when they first lent it out. Savers are also on the losing side, as the cash they've tucked away loses its punch. And maybe the ones who feel it the most are people on a fixed income, like retirees. Their income stays the same, while the cost of everything around them just keeps climbing. And the impact goes way beyond just individuals. High inflation has huge consequences for the whole economy. It can make a country's products more expensive for other countries to buy, which hurts exports. It hits lower-income families the hardest, widening that inequality gap. It also quietly eats away at any real returns you might get from investments, and it makes life a nightmare for businesses trying to plan for the future when their costs are all over the place. Which brings us to the ultimate economic tightrope walk. You see, a tiny bit of inflation is often seen as a good thing. It encourages people to spend and invest their money instead of just hoarding cash that's slowly losing value. But if that pace picks up too much, it becomes a really destructive force. So, the central challenge for every government, for every central bank, is to walk that incredibly fine line, keeping just enough inflation to keep the economy moving without ever letting it spiral out of control and destroy the value of our hard work and our savings. That right there is the balancing act.